be able to attend many Board of Education meetings, many Board of Commissioners meetings, and many public hearings and town hall meetings. The first time the Board of Education came into the new regime, when they came in, they asked for a certain amount of money, for a certain amount of programs, and quite frankly, they got blank stares. In the past, the Board of Education would say, this is what we need, and it was funded. They sent them back to the drawing board and said, number one, come back with better reasoning. Number two, come back with a little bit more efficient planning. At the same time, see if you can come back with a better result. They sent them to the drawing board 3 or 4 different times, and pretty soon it became systemic, to the point that the Board of Education had improved dramatically in terms of what they're looking for and how they use their resources. And so they have governed from a fiduciary standpoint to make sure that our tax dollars are used in the most effective way possible. And by sending the Board of Education back to the drawing board, it ultimately ended up in a better process for all of us. And it was interesting and wonderful to watch. I wish you could have seen it.
Again, it was kind of common sense. They would ask for money. What he's talking about is a particular story where the budget had already been approved. They needed another $1 million, or they were going to have to, came to us and said, we need it this week, or we're going to have to lay off teachers. So they kind of came expecting us to say okay to the $1 million. The vote was 3-2 against. Because we asked questions like, well, what exactly is the money going to be spent for? And isn't there another source within your budget where that money could come from? The answer was no. We looked, it's got to happen today. So we put up with of course the newspaper comes out the very next day, board didn't support. By Friday, that was Tuesday, that was Monday, Tuesday the paper came out. By Friday, the school board came back and said, you know what, we found it in our budget, we don't need it. And no teachers got laid off.
Yeah, and we actually, I think, the staff in the county manager's office, they actually helped them with budgeting, of how to budget properly and how to do a budget properly. And so we were able to kind of, teach them, to do a better job and to work with them on how to present so that it was very transparent. Because I remember, as I mentioned, the first time we went through that process with them, it was quite painful.
Well, actually, what it did is it helped us understand their budget a little better, and them understand our budgeting process a little better. So in working together, it made both more efficient and figure out the timelines, when money was needed, how much was needed, and where things could be shuffled around to make it work. So it was a good process to work together with them. And in so many counties, the Board of Commissioners and the Board of Education don't work together.
And by the time we got to this year's budget, it was very easy. They knew what the priorities were. They asked for those. We, at this point, trust them. When they say they need the money and what the priorities are and how they're going to spend it, they trust us that we will not cut their funding if they don't use everything, like from the previous year, use or lose type of situation. And so it went very smoothly. I do want to point out, can I point out the health department?
Yeah, I was getting ready to do that.
Again, 4 years ago, we started asking everyone to go line by line through their budget. And don't worry about what you spent last year. We don't really care. We want to know what it cost this year to operate. And that was kind of a painful process, because throughout public sector, it's you got to spend what you spent last year plus whatever, otherwise you won't get it next year if in fact you do need it. In the Navy, I remember in September, jets flying around just to use fuel because they had to spend the money or they wouldn't get it next year from Congress. So we tried to make it very clear that we weren't going to punish folks for doing the right thing. So this year, the health department went through line by line and said, we need $230,000 less than we needed last year. And that's what they asked for, and that's what they got. And the health director said, now next year we may need that back. Said, if you need it, we know you need it, and we'll try to get it to you. But this year we didn't even have to tell them that. It's in the process now. So we're very happy with that.